Here with Ed Gillespie, former Republican Party chairman, now a senior advisor to Mitt Romney's campaign. And the Obama reelection campaign seems very aggressively has been trying to define Mitt Romney at a time when maybe a lot of Americans don't really feel they know Romney the person. Do you have to do a better job? Does he have to do a better job of defining himself?
Well, I think he's doing a very good job of defining himself. He's defining himself as someone who understands what needs to be done to foster economic growth in our economy. And you know, when you have 8% unemployment for 39 straight months and people are concerned about their future and their jobs and their meeting their mortgage if their home isn't in foreclosure already, I think that he's making clear that he's someone who cares about those problems and, more important than just cares about them, knows how to make things better and improve things.
But on a personal level, does he need to connect more, in the oft-used phrase?
Yeah, you know, I think, Howard, since the end of the primary, you know, during the primaries, when you saw Governor Romney, generally when most people saw Governor Romney, behind a podium, on a stage,
wearing a
suit, red tie, you know, 7, 8 other people, you know, maybe sometimes 3 other candidates talking, and you know, you have 90 seconds to respond. So since the, you know, he's become the presumptive nominee and has been able to go out and talk to people, small business owners, and you know, people who are concerned about their, you know, their 401k and their jobs, and you know, go out and talk with people. The image, you know, the imagery has changed where people see him, the settings people see him, and it's a little more natural. And I think that's, you know, that's changing perceptions.
The big news this morning, Ed, is this New York Times piece about a pro-Romney Super PAC that is considering spending $10 million on an advertising campaign that would resurrect the issue of Reverend Jeremiah Wright, tying Obama to that controversial figure much more closely. Does the Romney campaign want this to happen?
Well, as Governor Romney, you know, said today, that we're focused on the economy and the issues that really matter to the American people, and that is, you know, centers on policy. And the president hasn't met the expectations that he set himself for people when it comes to, you know, the economy. And so, you know,
Let me jump in because Obama's campaign manager, Jim Messina, put out a very strong statement saying that this proposed advertising campaign would be a hate-filled campaign of character assassination. Once again, Governor Romney has fallen short of the standard that John McCain set 4 years ago, reacting tepidly in a moment that required moral leadership.
Well, actually, Governor Romney was pretty, he said, you know, it shouldn't be done. He completely repudiated the notion. So you don't want
to run on Jeremiah Wright?
Well, look, a couple things, as you know, folks on the site know and in the magazine know, or I think they know, have no control over it, you know, under the campaign finance laws.
It's independent, but
what we can say, and what the campaign has said and what the governor has said is that this is not what the issues are, and this is not what this campaign should be about. It should not be about personal attacks or guilt by association. This is a campaign, a very serious campaign at a very critical moment in American history, and we need to focus on what matters most to the American people, and that is the policies that can help foster economic growth in this economy.
But on the issue of the economy, and Romney obviously running as an experienced businessman, the Obama campaign this week putting up that web video, bringing up the issue of Bain Capital and looking at steel workers who lost their jobs at a Kansas City plant that had been taken over by Bain Capital. That goes right at the heart of the Romney message. How are you going to counter that?
Well, a couple things. First of all, obviously it's awful when anyone loses a job. By the way, for the 23 million Americans who are out of work today, or underemployed, or have left the workforce entirely during this presidency, that is an awful thing. That was during President Obama's time in office.
This is the campaign in a nutshell. You want to talk about, obviously, the last 3.5 years and the economy, which
and the future, how to turn that, and change that.
The Obama campaign wants to talk about Romney's time at Bain Capital and his view that sometimes jobs are going to be lost in the process of, you know, creative capitalism.
Well, let me just complete my thought here, because I do think that there is an important difference. One, President Obama has been there for 3.5 years when these 23 million Americans have either been out of work or underemployed or have left the workforce. Governor Romney had left Bain Capital at the point at which this GST plant had been closed. By the way, I think there were 21 other plants, steel plants, that had closed, within 18 months of that plant closing. So it was not unique to this plant. At the same time, Bain had invested in a new steel plant that created 6,000 jobs. So, you know, that's the nature of private investment and the private sector economy that this White House and this administration and this president, frankly, do not understand
the
how
argument
how the private sector works and how job creation works in a market-based economy.
But the political argument has been that when these companies did not do well, and I understand that there's going to be some wins and some losses in when you invest, that former Governor Romney and his partners at Bain did very well. That they made millions of dollars while other people lost their jobs, their health care, their pension plans. How do you counter that?
Well, a couple of things. One, Governor Romney was and Bain were very successful. There were companies that failed and where the investments didn't work. It's not because they didn't try, by the way, to make sure that these people were employed. You don't, buy a company in hopes that you can't build it and grow it and help make it successful and help more people be able to make payroll and put their children through college and buy a home, meet their mortgage. That's what happened with Staples or Sports Authority and any number of other companies. So, the fact is Governor Romney is someone who's demonstrated by virtue of his success in business and at the Olympics and other places that he can, see opportunities, he can see where the economy is going, give good advice to folks on where we ought to, take advantage of those opportunities. He's been a strong and effective leader at the Olympics and as governor of Massachusetts. Those are qualities that would be an asset in the White House and for our economy right now.
Ed, you were, of course, White House counselor to President George W. Bush. Kind of an odd scene the other day where Bush was asked by an ABC reporter about Governor Romney. And as the elevator doors were closing, he said, "I support Mitt Romney." And the Romney campaign didn't make much of that. This guy was the leader of the party and president of the United States for 8 years. Is his support now considered something of an albatross?
Not at all. Sometimes news happens, and the fact is, he
he could have stepped off the elevator.
The president was asked a question, and he answered it. The Governor Romney and the Romney campaign welcomed his support.
But no plans to campaign together?
Well, President Bush, as you know, hasn't campaigned for anyone since he left office, and he's left the political arena, and he's happy to not be engaged in politics. And so,
would you like to have him out there on the stump with Mitt Romney?
Proud of his support. The fact is, he has made clear he's not stumping. He's not campaigning. As you know, he's someone I'm close to and admire immensely, and I'm happy for him that. He's happy in his life after the presidency and how he views the post-presidency, which is, you don't criticize your successor, you don't engage in the political arena, and I respect him for that decision.
And finally, a lot of stories about the things we're talking about in the press, and of course there was that Washington Post story about the bullying incident back in prep school. Do you feel like the Romney campaign at this point is getting a fair shake from the media? Here's your chance.
All right.
Unload.
I think that it's clear from if you look at what the Obama campaign is doing, they want to talk about anything but President Obama's record and the economy and the hard time that people are having as a result of his policies.
Is the press going along with that?
I think that they put up a lot of shiny objects, and the press loves shiny objects. But look, that's their prerogative. That's the nature of the media. It's our job as a campaign to push past the shiny objects and keep the focus on what matters to people. What's vote determinative to people, and to respect the voters, which we do. And I think that most voters, as you know, there were some flaws in the Post reporting in that story, some questions about it. But look, we're not going to challenge the story. It was
Romney said he didn't remember it, but he
right.
apologized.
What he said was, I don't remember it, but in high school, like other people, I'm sure I did
Stupid things.
Yeah, stupid things that we would all regret. And if someone sent an investigative team of reporters to go through my high school yearbook,
what would they find?
I hope that never happens. Just a straight A student. But look, the American people aren't going to be. They're going to make a decision, and that decision is going to be based on if I vote for one candidate or the other. Is it more likely that there will be more jobs created? Is it more likely wages will rise rather than drop by an average of $4,300 per household?
Helps shape those decisions as people try
to
sort out these two
and that's why we have to, in instances like this, say, interesting story, but median household income dropped $4,300 under this president. 23 million Americans are either out of work or underemployed or out of the workforce, and more people have lost their homes under this president than ever in the history of the country. We can change that if, and people will hopefully hear that.
Ed Gillespie, a man who knows how to pivot back to his message. Thanks very much for joining us here in Washington.
Thanks, Howard.